sinulat niya ng word siguro. Pero as I see niya, may binabasa naman kayo yung text. Baka naman pwede
The English version.
Ay, very English. Wow, galing.
O baka may English translation na.
Kayo po gusto niyo po ng Tagalog. Father, yan may mga
Yes.
gusto raw po nila ng Tagalog version.
Isa lang yung
Isa lang daw po. Sige po, tanong po tayo.
Sa ano po, sa homily, tungkol na homily.
sa homily. Oo.
Di po ba, binigay na homily galing po sa Word of God?
Oo.
Po meron po ako na-encounter na parang na, hindi po nakaunay doon sa Word of God yung kanyang homily. Parang, pinapagalitan mga parishioners na ibig na yung homily na ikaw tayo sa parang ano na yung parishioner, yung sama na doon sa parishioner niya. Tama po ba yun?
Ang unang linawin natin ang ba yung homily. Ang homily ay yung kung titignan natin bakit may homily sa misa. Ayon sa turo sa atin ng simbahan, ang homily ay hindi yung tinatawag natin nung unang panahon na sermon o exhortation. Ang homily sa misa ngayon ay the today of God's Word. Ang ibig sabihin kasi, yung salita ng Diyos ay sinulat in a particularly cultural context. Bawa, nung panahon una. Okay? Sinulat yun nung panahon ng mga apostol na iba yung kultura nila pero sinulat yun. So, yung sinasabi doon, kinakailangan isali natin o interpret natin sa panahon natin ngayon para ma-i-apply natin sa sarili natin. Halimbawa, kapag halimbawa yung kasabihan ng Panginoon, no? You do not use a new cloth to patch the hole in an old garment. Hindi ka gumagamit ng bagong tela para tagpian ang lumang damit kasi yung ginamit mo na tawag dito na bagong tela baka umurong, masisira ang buong damit. Yun ang ibig sabihin. So, sinasabi, dapat yung i-interpret ng pare, ang sinasabi doon, halimbawa, ay maging bukas ang ating isipan sa mga pagbabago na dumarating sa buhay ng simbahan. Yun. So, bukas ba ang isipan mo sa mga pagbabago na nangyayari sa palibot mo? Yung ganun, yung so ganun, i-interpret mo yung salita ng Diyos na may konteksto para makita natin kung ano yung ano ito sa buhay ng simbahan ngayon. Relevant ba ito sa buhay ko ngayon? Ganun ang ibig sabihin ng homily. The today of God's Word. Yun ang ibig sabihin ng homily. Ngayon, kapag mahirap ayokong magbigay ng komento tungkol dyan kasi ibang pari yan hindi ako wala akong karapatan na magbigay ng pastor judgment, hindi ko lang ng konteksto, so hindi natin po pwedeng. Yun lamang, ang homilia ay ang interpretasyon ng salita ng Diyos para sa panahon natin ngayon. So yun lang ang maitutulong ko. Kung hindi natugma na sinasabi ko yung nakikita ninyo, siguro tingnan natin, what is the context? Why is it happening? Why does the priest do that? Baka meron naman siyang dahilan kung bakit nangyayari yung kanyang sinasabi. Okay? So, but, sir.
Hintay ko lang, Father. Natutunan ko po na kapag nagandahan ako sa homily ng isang pari, pagkatapos ng misa nilalapitan ko nagpapasalamat ako. In the same manner, siguro, maganda rin naman na pwede ka rin magsalita sa Father, parang ang layo ng inyong homily. Parang mag-one-on-one kayo, mapaliwanag sa'yo.
Yeah. Yun po, kung ang pari ay bukas. Kasi maraming mga pari, kahit na bata pa, kapag bordering on constructive criticism, sa kanilang sa pamaraan nila ng pagmimisa o kaya ay sa yung sinabi nila sa homily, nag-threaten sila. So, siguro yung pamamaraan din ang pag-approach natin.
Kaya nga, Father, sabi ko, magsimula, matutukan na nung magpasalamat kung palagi kayo.
Oo.
Ay, Father, thank you. Touch na touch ako sa inyong homily. Ano?
Oh, kaya lang, tapos merong lalagyan mo ng kanya. Kaya lang, Father, di ko maintindihan itong parting ito. Bakit sinabi mo yun, Father? Ayun. Eh, pero kapag sabi, Father, mali yata yung sinabi mo yun. Insulto yun. So, hindi natin, yun ang mahirap eh. Yung parang siguro ng paglapit. Kasi matitreate ng panel dyan.
What about po kung ang term ay, Father, parang kung na-confuse ako dun sa ano pwedeng pa-explain?
Ayun, ganda yun.
Okay po.
Okay naman.
Kasi po, Father, sa totoo lang, minsan, nakaka-confuse. Lagay namin mga catechist kami, nagtuturo kami, tapos yung sinasabi ng pare is contrary to
Sa
what
nagtuturo,
yes.
nalalaman ninyo.
So, ganun po.
Oh, yun.
We
Kaya
approach the
kailangan.
parish priest, I approach the parish priest, pero pag sabi ko nga po, Father, parang na-confuse po ako.
Oo, yun. Maganda naman yung gano'n. Hindi naman yung accusatory na.
Thank you, Father.
Yung pamaraan, yung again,
Yes.
yung paraan ng paglapit. Siguro yun doon tayo nagkakatalo. Okay. Yeah.
Kasi po parang may dalawa pong views po na usually po kami naririnig. Yung pong view, yung liturgy na faithful sa Roman Rite po, sa nangyayari po sa Vatican. At isa naman pong view ay yung medyo may ano po sa enculturation. So ano pong view po ninyo doon sa ganung pong bagay? Hanggang saan po yung extent ng enculturation? Tsaka tingin nyo po sa situation po natin dito sa Pilipinas, kailangan po ba talaga natin?
Una, nasa Constitution ng Sacred Liturgy ang tungkol dyan. Sinasabi sa atin ng dokumento na kinakailangan mai-adapt o mai-adjust natin sa ating sa local cultures ang ating pamamaraan ng pagsamba na hindi nawawala yung integrity of the Roman Rite. Kasi we belong to the Roman Rite. Hindi dapat mawala yung integridad ng Roman Rite. Pero maaaring i-express yung Roman Rite na yan sa paraang ito'y Pilipino. Okay? Ang isa nga sa mga ginawang sa napakalaking pagbabago ay ang paggamit ng sariling wika natin sa pagmimisa. Okay? Siguro, kung ang pinaka-minor natin magagawa dyan, well, yun na nga, napakalaking advance na yun tungkol sa salita, no? Yung wika, the language that we use. Pero siguro some of the, isa sa mga magagawa rin natin ay ang na unti-unti, halimbawa, yung ito naman kasi para may kinalaman, hindi naman lahat. May kinalaman ito, halimbawa, yung paggalang natin sa nakatatanda, yung pag-aamin. Okay? During the Feast of Peace, sa halip marahil na bumati tayo ng ganun, yung mga nakababata siguro pwedeng lumapit sa nakatatanda at humalik ng kamay. Yung paghalik ng kamay, ito, diyan nagkakatalo kasi yung may mga taong ayaw yung idea ng kumahalik sa kamay. Hindi halik, amen. Nilalagay sa noo, hindi nilalagay sa labi. Okay? Kasi sa ating mga Pilipino, yung tiyatag na paghalik na kumahalik kami ng kamay, akala natin talagang hindi. Sa Pilipino, pag humalik ka ang paghalik ng kamay ay nilalagay sa noo. Okay? Kasi mag-amin ka. So it's an adaptation of our Western culture, which is the greeting rather than the kiss. Yung beso-beso nagawa na naman yan ng mga sosyal Pero hindi natin maaaring completely i-disarrange ang liturgia para maging kunwari Pilipino. Kasi magiging parang bayanihan. Sayaw ng bayanihan.
Paano po, Father? Ano pong view po nyo dun sa ginawa po natin kahapon na isa ng bayan ng Pilipinas?
Hindi ko, wala ako doon, pero dati na ako nagbimisa niya. Okay? Dati na ako nagbimisa. Maganda yan. Maganda yung si Father Ansgar ay professor ko. Mentor ko si Father Ansgar. At ako, kasama ng komisyon, ang nagsalin ng official Cebuano version ng Misa ng Bayan. Okay? So I'm very familiar with that Mass. In its structure, yung misa ng bayan na yan ay napakaganda, pero it is very prone, kaya pag-iingatan, very prone to abuses. Ako, isa sa mga nag-abuse. Okay. Nung ako ay rector sa Cagayan de Oro, every year sineselebrate yan sa pastoral day ng aking mga seminarians. At syempre, it allows for dancing. Okay? Kaya yung dancing ay naging cultural presentation. At ang mga costumes ay scandalous. Okay. Ngayon ko lang na-realize yun. Kasi, papasukan mo ba naman yan ng mga Muslim na stylized Muslim style na costume na ang slit ay hanggang bewang? Ang mga babae yan, mga teenagers yan. Sisimula ng isa kasi, it allows for dancing. Okay? Sinasabi lang naman kasi doon sa ritual ay magtatapo ng bulaklak ang mga bata while dancing. Ito, you can do what you call, pwede mong gamitin yung tinatawag, maaaring isabihin ng pare na yung rationalisasyon. Nasa Mindanao tayo, hindi ang gagamitin natin dito ay mga Muslim-inspired costumes and Muslim steps. Ang problema, ayaw ng mga Muslim niya. Ipinapasok natin ang kanilang kultura sa ating pagsamba. Eh, hindi naman tayo Muslim. Okay? So, yun ang problema dyan. Okay? Pwedeng maabuso. As usual. Any good thing, pwedeng abusuhin. Yung isang bayan, by itself, wala akong problema. Ang ganda ewan ko kung nakita nyo na yun.
Yes.
Yung pag-amin. Okay? Yung idea ng katiwala. Okay? Yung idea, halimbawa, yung pagkukumunyon ng pare na hindi agad siya nagkukumunyon, sinisilbihan niya, hindi pinapayagan niya ng Roma, by the way, kaya hindi na-aprobahan yan. Hindi pinayagan ng Roma kasi iba kasi ang tingin ng Roma sa misa eh. Ang pare, ang kumakatawan kay Kristo, at siya ang unang nag-aalay, kaya siya ang unang nagkukumunyon. Ibinaliktad dito ng misa ng bayan. Okay? Kasi dito huli ang pare na nagkukumunyon, which is in accordance with our own culture. Kapag ka tayo naghahanda, hindi ka muna kumakain, you feed your guests first. Diba? So, lahat ng nasa altar, hindi muna magkukumunyon. Yung mga tao muna. Then, after you have been served communion, then we eat. So, isa sa mga ang sinasabi ng Roma hindi yung minsan hindi naman yan kainan lang. Sakripisyo din yan. Okay? So, nakakalimutan natin yung element ng sacrifice. So, may mga questions sa misa ng bayan. Okay? Pero ako, on the whole, maganda. I promote that. I used to promote that dahil ngayon hindi approve only for Philippine use yan for special occasions. Okay. That was, Misa ng Bayan was first celebrated in 1981 by Cardinal Sin sa Baclaran Church. That was the first time it came out during the International Mission Congress of 1981. Okay. Diyan nagmula, by the way, yung kinopya na ng buong Pilipinas na pag nag-Our Father, nakahawak-hawak ang kamay. Diyan nagsimula yun. Okay? Kung hinahanap din kung saan nagsimula yung mga ginagawa ngayon sa mga parokya, o kung ginagawa pa, yung nagkakapitan ng kamay sa ama namin, galing yun sa misa ng bayan. Okay? So, yan ang sagot ko to sa sagot na yan, sa tanong na yan tungkol sa Roman Rite at ang inculturated Mass. I'm all for it. But the problem is, hindi ko na-aprubahan nga eh. Ang kahit sa isang na-aprubahan na inculturated Mass ay the Sairian Mass. Yun lang. Wala nang iba. Although, halimbawa, alam ko na sa ibang mga lugar, sa India, lalo na, bahala kung anong sabihin ng Roma, hindi sila nakikinig. They go ahead with what they want. Okay. Pero siyempre tayo naman, ay gumagalang naman tayo sa autoridad natin kung may autoridad sa Roma, hindi natin inakala. Kaya, hindi inaprubahan ng for widespread use ang misa ng bayan, although it can be used for special occasions like yesterday. Okay? Hindi ba ang ganda? Kapag walang abuso yung misa ngayon, ang ganda-ganda. Kaya sa matter of fact, doon mo maipapasok lahat ng mga pati investments doon, dapat Filipino clause ang mga ginagamit doon. Halimbawa, yung sa insenso, palayo. Okay? Doon ginagamit lahat yun. Ang ganda lang pa na yun. Kaya nga lang, baka maging cultural show. Kaya yun dapat i-balance. Yung mga dancing, lalagay mo yung mga dancing. Alam niyo yung dancing sa misa na yan, I am not against dancing in the Mass, so long as the dancing is coming really from the heart. It is part of the culture of the people. Halimbawa, yung dancing na choreograph, yan ang nagiging show, nagiging palabas. That is why I don't allow dancing kapag yan ay palabas. But I do allow dancing, like, nung ilibing halimbawa si the late Bishop Claver, kasi ano siya it's Igorot, the first Igorot Bishop. Yung mga relatives niya, nung magdala sila ng alay sa altar, automatic sila wala, hindi choreograph. Yun ang paraan nila, yun ang body expression nila yun eh. So sumayaw sila ng yung dance, walang, no fanfare, walang music, etc. Basta nagsasayaw lang sila na natural sa kanila yung pagdadala ng alay na sumasayaw sila. Okay? Hindi yung choreograph, sayaw. O kaya halimbawa, another thing that, ang mga Aprikano, kapag kaya mga Aprikano na yan ay kumanta, huwag mong pipigilan yan kasi hindi sila makakakanta ng maayos kasi kasama doon yung soul. Yung soul nila, yung soul, African culture is a dancing culture. Sumasayaw talaga yan. So, automatic yun sa kanila. That is part of their bodily expression. And that is admitted in the liturgy. Pero yung mga ballet na yan sa liturgy, at saka yung may mga dikawayan-kawayan pa na parang bayanihan, yan ang show na ang focus ay nasa sayaw. Alam nyo kasi, nung ako yung Paris Priest sa Mindanao, that was 1981, punong-puno yung simbahan ko pag nagmimisa ng bayan. Punong-puno. Yung mga jalusin nagkakatanggal-tanggal kasi nag-aakyatan yung mga tao eh. Kasi, ang ganda ng misa, ang ganda ng palabas. Bakit? Eh, may mga pumapasok mga may dalang yung Word of God, nakaupo yung babaeng may dala ng leksyonaryo, nakaupo sa kawayan. Parang bayanihan. Dito yung mga tao. Palabas. So, yan sabi ko, no? Propriety. Tingnan natin, ano ba talaga ang focus ng liturhiya? Palabas ba? Pagsamba? Para ma-entertain ang mga tao? O sasamba ka sa Diyos? Magpapasalamat ka? Pwede natin ipasok yan eh. Pero ingatan natin, baka maging palabas.
Tulad po sa pag-aalay, hindi ko po alam kung kayo tama. Hindi po ba madala na pag-aalay yung in kind, cash, kadalasan po ba tawag na yung in kind or cash? Huli yung
bread and wine.
So, tama po ba yun kasi para kasi sa aming pag-aaral ko sa catechetical ko ay kung pari nagtulong sa amin, siya raw pag daw po naglilina, wala raw pong alay-alay kasi kailangan po yung bread and wine po ang ialay yung minsan.
Well, hindi ko yung dispute yung sinasabi ng pari na yun. Pero tingnan mo natin kasaysayan sa bakit nagkaroon ng alay sa misa. Okay? Noong mga around 3rd, 4th century, 5th century, na ang misa ay nagpo-formation pa ang misa noon, ng pag-aalay. Ang mga tao talaga, ang pari, hindi, ang alak noon at ang tinapay ay nanggagaling sa mga tao talaga. At ang tinapay noon ay hindi yung flat. Talagang loaf.
Okay po yung iaalay ko yung bread and wine. Nakitaan ko po yung in-kind. Kasama po
Hindi, pero kasama sa pag-aalay ng mga tao na yun kasi ang mga tao noon, ang pari noon ay talagang sinusuportahan ng tao. So ang niaalay ng mga pari sa mga pari noon sa misa, niaalay ng mga tao yung mga dairy products, manok, animals like goat. Bakit? At saka maraming tinapay, pipili lang ang pare na i-consecrate. At saka marami ring wine kasi ginagawa nila yun sa bahay nila eh. Pinipili lang yun ng pare kung alin doon. At yung matitira para susupport ng pare at support at ibibigay din niya sa mga taong nangangailangan kung hihingi sa kanya. So doon nagmula yun. So, yung in-kind na yun, yan ngayon ang dinadala ng mga tao ng iba't ibang mga bagay na dinadala sa misa. So, hindi sa walang pundasyon yan. May pundasyon mula sa simula pa, mga 4th, 5th century. Ganyan ang ginagawa ng mga tao. Bakit? Kaya, anong nangyari ngayon doon sa yung mga iniaalay in kind? Yung pera. Kasi, bakit yung financial support ng mga tao ngayon? Kasi, noong 11th century, yung pag-aalay ng mga tao ng tinapay na galing sa bahay nila, sila ang nag-bake noon. Dahil sa ruling ng simbahan na mula ngayon, hindi na tayo gagamit ng loaf. Ang gagamitin natin yung flat. Yung ginagamit na natin ngayon. Dahil gano'n ang ginamit ni Cristo sa Last Supper, sabi nila. So hindi tayo unleavened bread na ang gagamitin at hindi leavened bread. By the way, sa Eastern Church, sa Eastern Rite, loaf of bread pa rin, wala silang unleavened bread. Leavened bread ang kanila. So sa atin, sa Western, sa Latin Rite, kung pinalitan yung leavened bread ng unleavened bread, ngayon, yung mga tao, hindi na nagdadala ng kanilang tinapay na galing sa kanilang bahay. Ang dinadala na lang nila ay financial, naging financial contribution na. Kaya yun ang collection natin ngayon. So by the way, yung collection na yan ay hindi natin po pwedeng sabihin na optional. Obligatory yan dapat. Kasi dapat natin isuporta ang ating pare. Suportahan natin ang simbahan. It is one of kayo, marami sa inyo yata, katikista. O, nasa ko niya na, di ba? Nasa utos ng simbahan yan, precepts of the church, to contribute to the support of the church. Yung collection, hindi yun money-making industry ng simbahan. Nagmula yun sa napakatandang ugali ng simbahan noong pa na sinusuportahan ng pare. Okay? Noon in kind, ngayon financially na. Okay? So dapat ang ideal sa parokya, after the homily, after the prayers of the faithful and the creed and the prayers of the faithful, after the homily, at the beginning of the liturgy of the Eucharist, ideal, ito dapat. Mauupo ang lahat, pati ang pare, tutugtog ng ang choir o ang organo, at yung mga kolektor, lilibot para mangolekta. Marami dapat para madaling matapos ang collection, tapos lahat i-deposit doon sa likod. Tapos lahat ng yung dadalahin kasama na, yung kasi yung nagtotoong alay ng mga tao. Pagkatapos nun, saka pala dadalahin yung gifts in kind, pagkatapos yung bread and wine. Sa liturgy kasi, the place of honor is always at the end, the last. So, place of honor is for the bread and the wine. Okay? So, naintindihan natin yun. Okay?
Father,
Yes.
regarding the collection, is it right po ba, halimbawa, nag-invite kami ng pare sa school, and then may mass collection, and then we assign the students to offer cash donations because of our outreach program. But then itong pare na na-invite namin isa, Paris priest, gusto niya kuhanin na lahat yung collection, even told him na that is for the outreach.
Meron ganun.
Sabihin mo,
Technically, canonically, entitled lang siya sa stipend.
Stipend.
yes, you have the stipend already.
Entitled siya sa stipend. Ngayon, siguro para maiwasan ang problema na yan, dapat din maging bukas din kayo dyan. Para maiwasan ang problema na yan, inform the priest beforehand. Father, ang collection dito, Father, tinatalaga namin para sa outreach program. Ngayon, kung sabihin niya na, kasi siya pare, Sabi niya, no sister, no ma'am, I will get it. Bigay mo na lang para walang away ko. Walang away. Kaya,
Huwag niyo na lang imbitahin sa susunod.
Salamat. Hindi.
Oo, ibang parte.
Ito. Eh, nag-aaway kayo.
O minsan lang naman po, makasagot na lang. Minsan lang naman po matatangparin ninyo. Igawin ninyo na ibang araw kaya ng masing collection yung for your outreach. Para, ano, walang issue about it.
Huwag niyo na imbitahin.
Let us not talk about that.
Ibang lang imbitahin yung pare. Ang dami naman pare eh. Sila nasisira.
Okay. But that is my stand on this matter. Sorry. Maybe you should talk to the priest first before the mass begins, so that he's not taken aback by that. Maybe because he was already expecting, that is why, or maybe he has earmarked that for that. After all, he's the one who celebrates the mass. Okay. Yeah.
Father, I'd just like to comment on what has been said the last one. I don't think this is my comment, this is only my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't think the schools should make the mass as a fundraising.
Yeah.
It should be done separately.
Mhm.
So, if your purpose is to reach out for the poor, then don't make the mass as your means
The
of...
avenue for that. Yeah. Yeah, well taken. That's a very good suggestion also. Maybe it's also because they are trying to avoid asking too much from the students.
Yes.
So maybe they have to balance that. So since we already have this mass, maybe the collection should be placed. But they should really consult with the priest, because I do not really, I just have, maybe I will have to check. Is the priest entitled to the collection? Is the priest, that is what I'd like to find out. Is the priest entitled to the collection? The priest is entitled to the stipend.
Yes.
Okay, but is he entitled to the collection? Does he have the right to take the collection with him? What is the policy of the parish where this is taking place? Those are things to consider.
Pwede po mag-share din.
Yes.
Dito na po yung mention kung sana kung ano pa. Kasi ganun for more than 5 years, yung naging parish priest namin, talagang ganun po yung naging patakaran niya. Lahat po ng collection, mga chapels, mga pamisa, kinukuha niya po lahat. Pero kami po mga kasi catechist po at saka lector commentator, ipinasa-Diyos po namin, hindi naman po naging kawawa kami. Ang daming blessings pa rin na dumadang sa bawat chapel at nakaka-survive. Kasi gawain niyo ng Panginoon eh. Kahit nakuhanin ng isang tao ang lahat ng resources niyo, nandyan pa rin ang Diyos na magpo-provide sa gawain niya. So tama po kayo kanina na hindi po issue yung pera. Bahala po ang Diyos. Kami po nakasurvive kami ng more than 5 years. Kasi di ba po yung ikutan ng pare, ganun.
Yeah.
So, nakasurvive po kami at lahat po ng chapel nakasurvive at napaganda pa ang mga chapels na kahit po ganun ang sistema na aming parish.
Yeah, maybe that because the parish priest has earmarked the collection he has a project for the good of the parish. That is why. Maybe it does not go to him personally. Okay? It goes to the parish fund, and therefore it is not for him. It is for the parish. So he has his reasons. Okay. Yes.
Another question po. In this season of new evangelization, sa tingin niyo po, ano yung, so parang new evangelization tayo, bago, I make all things new. Ano po ang place ng mga old rites ng simbahan natin in this season of new evangelization? Should it be parang bago na, wag na yan?
No. As a matter of fact, no. In line with what Pope Benedict says in Summorum Pontificum, no? These two rites, the usus antiquor and the the new Mass of Vatican II should enrich each other. Okay? Now, we celebrate the Usus Antiquor is celebrated not so much to as a practice of bringing back the old. It is a timeless celebration. It does not belong to the past. It belongs to the present because it is the worship of God. Okay, and so therefore, we still, according to the Pope, that's why he authorized its use. It is supposed to be to enrich our own celebration, the present celebration of the liturgy, because that liturgy, the old liturgy before Vatican II, is the focus is very, very clear. God, even the orientation of the priest is very, very clear that God is the focus, not the community, not the priest. It is God. So, and it is not here so much in the Philippines, but in many countries where this is thriving. Many young people find the Usus Antiquor to be very attractive because of the mystery that they are able to enter into a community, and you cannot name it, but it is something that they could not name, but they experience it. It is you will be surprised in Europe how even seminaries of the traditional seminaries are growing in Africans, in seminarians. Now, what am I saying about the Vatican II liturgy? What we need with is still a very young liturgy. It's only 50 years old. It's a very young liturgy, and they're still developing. How do I envision the reform of Vatican II? How do I personally, as a liturgist, how do I envision the reform of Vatican II? I envision the reform of Vatican II as, during the liturgy of the Word, personally, what I would, if I had the chance, and if I had I were to make a decision on this, which I will not, because but this is only my stand as a liturgist. During the liturgy of the Word, the priest should be facing the people. Okay, because he is communicating God's Word. Okay, up to the homily, up to the general intercessions, he should be facing the people. From the beginning up to the end, he should be up to the liturgy of up to the general intercessions. He should be facing the people. And then for the liturgy of the Eucharist, when he starts the offertory, he should already be facing the altar. Why? The canon, the Eucharistic prayer should be said loudly so that people will hear it. But he should be facing the altar already, rather than facing the people. Because there is a problem here. I know of my own. I keep correcting my former students. When they celebrate the Mass, they say, when they go to the Eucharistic prayers, Lord, you're holy indeed. Lord, you're holy indeed, the fount of all holiness. Let your Spirit come upon these gifts to make them holy. You're addressing the people. You're not supposed to address the people here because you're addressing God. So therefore, if you have to look up, you have to look somewhere up. Better yet, maybe is just come up. The voice is heard, but he's facing the people. So this will minimize the ability of the priest to make a palabas. He thinks he's the center of the Mass. The priest is not the center of the Mass here. He's the instrument. Okay. So that is how I envision this reform. It's a very young liturgy. Okay. So compared to the other one, which is it developed from the time of the older one, developed from the time of from the 4th century, or from the 1st century, developed the 4th century all the way up to 1962. That's a very long time of development. Now, Vatican II wanted to, again, this is a time of Vatican II to open the windows of the church, so that it will be, people will to let in the fresh air of change, etc. So one of the changes that was initiated in that reform of Vatican II is the liturgy. Okay. Now, I am not saying we should go back to the old. What I'm saying is, because this is still an evolving liturgy, okay, we can expect that, it will somehow, the way it is celebrated should change. If you see the liturgy before, after the 1970s is different from the liturgy of now, of today. Okay? The liturgy of the 1970s is different. It's more, the liturgy of the 1970s was more open. Today is more, in a sense, more conservative. Okay? The liturgy of today is, from the strict liturgical celebration of the 1960s, this side, the pendulums went to the other side. Okay? Before, you could not celebrate. In the 1970s, because of the reaction against the old liturgy, I was a survivor of that. Okay? I was a first-year novice at that time. The celebrations then were terrible. Okay? Liturgy under the trees, liturgy in the beach, liturgy on the rooftop, no vestments. Sometimes the priest was in the beach. The celebration of the mass, the priest was wearing just a swimsuit, bikini, just wearing the stone. Okay. Liturgy with the Salampak liturgy. You on the floor, you put the Blessed Sacrament there on the floor. This is in the 70s. I know, I have been witness to this. The liturgy, just to make it more relevant to the life of the people, we will use pandesal and lakbanog. We will not use mass and bread by host and wine. We will use lambanog. We will use all of this. That was the liturgy of the 1970s. Maybe it's comparatively it's better liturgy we have now. Okay, so it's an evolving liturgy. So what do I say to this? The Pope Benedict says the reason why he is giving liberalizing the use of the old rite is precisely so that these two rites can enrich each other. Okay. Of course, there are those who are against the old rite, but let us wait for the decision of Rome. Yes.
Can I just comment regarding your idea, or you said it will never happen, that the first part will be facing the people and the latter part will be facing the altar.
Yeah.
If there were a crucifix on the altar, right in front of the priest, I think it would be more meaningful.
More meaningful. Yes, yes.
Because now the altar is
It's
clear
clear.
of the crucifix, because you have the retablo and you have the crucifix either on the side of the altar.
Yeah.
But if you have the crucifix right in front of the altar,
Yes, yes.
then the focus will be.
Yeah, precisely. Pope Benedict was saying this east, the east that we are talking about here, does not necessarily have to be geographical east. It is the crucifix that we face. Okay. So even if the priest remains facing the people at the liturgy of the Eucharist, so long as he has the crucifix in front of him to keep his focus, I think that is already an
The
improvement.
crucifix is in front of the priest.
Yeah. 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 So that's my response to your question. Okay. So other questions? Yeah.
Father, I even if he was seated beside me, I misunderstood this question. I thought he was referring to other liturgies, meaning other rites, the Eastern rite. But
Is that it?
I think so. Anyway, may I ask the question,
Yes.
Father? What is the relevance of other rites outside of the Roman liturgy in our present context of new evangelization in the Philippines?
You mean the Eastern Rite? I don't know their situation in the East.
Sorry, Father, just to interject. Those who are in union with Rome, Father. Right?
Yes, but even those who are not in union with Rome and those who are not in union with Rome and those who are uniates or in union with Rome, they have the same liturgy.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's the Eastern liturgy. I do not know their situation, but I think they have been explicitly told that the reform of the liturgy is only for the Latin Rite and not for them. Because after Vatican II, some of the Eastern liturgies who are united to Rome, they started to already also make some changes in accord with the Constitution on Sacred Liturgy, and they were stopped by the Holy See itself. Okay, so that is why those who are arguing for the return of Latin into the liturgy are saying in the East they have retained their liturgy in the language which is not spoken by the modern people. They have retained the ancient Greek in their own language, or a language that is not familiar to the everyday speech, so that there is no reason why Latin could not return to the liturgy of the Roman Rite. That is the thing, no? But I do not know. I know the only thing I know is that they have not been allowed to make changes in their own liturgy. So during the consecration, they still go inside the iconostasis, and after the iconostasis, after the consecration, they bring out the consecrated bread and wine, etc. So it's a different kind of liturgy for them. Now, the people still find this very effective for them. So I don't know. Do they need to be re-evangelized? Are we the only ones in the Latin West that is we are the only ones experiencing this secularization? Are we the only ones who need to re-evangelize our people? What about them? What is their experience? This one I am not conversant with this.
Because, Father, there is a current move for the Eastern Rite in union with Rome to come to the Philippines to establish mission centers. Do you think it will be beneficial for us to learn from them?
They are uniates.
Yeah, yes, of course, unions.
They are united with
Yes,
Rome.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Will it be beneficial for us in the Latin Rite? Maybe. I don't know. But I do know that there are people who are interested people in the Philippines who are interested in the Eastern Rite. So that is why we have bogus or fake Eastern writers here in the Philippines. They are not actually, they are not accredited, or they are not, and people gravitate towards them. Okay, maybe the real ones should come. Let's see. It's the same God we are serving, and they are in the same Roman Catholic Church, although they belong to the East. Maybe it will be good. Personally, I will not be part of it because I belong to another rite. I belong to the Latin Rite, and I don't think I can practice. I can learn how to celebrate the Mass in the divine liturgy in that rite. And then besides, the costumes are very expensive. I mean, the vestments. The vestments.
Thank you.
It's a different kind of vestments, unlike the Latin. Yeah.
Then how about, are you familiar with the neo-catechumenate way of celebrating?
Yes, I have seen that in Cebu. Yes. What do I have to say about them? Well, they have been approved, but Pope Benedict has halted there are things that are being studied by the Congregation for Divine Worship, like they're taking the communion by themselves. Okay, taking the communion by themselves. Communion is not distributed to them. They are the ones who take communion from the altar. Okay, and I think that's being questioned by the Holy See. Okay, what else? I think the preaching also. the giving of the homily. I think for them, anybody can stand up. I don't know. I have not been into it, but I have seen them from outside. I think their homily is anybody who wants to say something is free to say something during the homily. Okay. But I don't know.
Besides, they have some sort of exclusivity among themselves.
Yes, especially during Holy Week, during Easter Vigil, during Holy Thursday. Now, the idea here is, let us look at the idea why the existence of the neo-catechumenal way. The existence of this group is because they want the Christians to be aware of their own charism as Catholics. I mean, they try to relive the process of the catechumenate, which is fostered by the RCIA, which is 3 years. You go through the process of the catechumenate way for 3 years. Then you renew your baptismal promises at the end of that. That's the neo-catechumenal way, which is patterned after the way they made Christians in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd century of the church. That was the way we became, the Christians were made in those days, which was after the 4th century that fell into disuse, and it was taken up now by the neo-catechumenal way, although most of their members are baptized Catholics already. Yeah.
I'm a member of the in our Reverend Party. And what we do during Eucharist, we celebrate it Saturday, after Saturday church. But I am a graduate of UST. I'm a Catholic. And then what we do,
Neo-catechumens are Catholics, ha?
Pero Catholic po ako, graduate ako nila. Tapos, what we do po, sa Eucharist, yung parish priest ng Maria Goreni, any parish priest would celebrate the Eucharist with us. Pero nakahiwalay nga po kami. Kasi nga after ng Mass ng Saturday. Then, ginagawa, dun sa sinasabi ninyo na Eucharist, ang gagawin kasi ng pare, ganun din, tataas yung Eucharist, ginagamit namin yung unleavened bread. Yung, binibake yun, pero nagpipray sila bago sila mag-bake nun. And then, pinipray, parang, pinipray din ng pare. As is, ganun din, kaya lang, pinaponsecrate din ng pare, kaya lang, ang ginagawa, instead of yung hostia, yung unleavened bread. Pero yung pare, yung unleavened bread. Ginagawa lang.
Problema nga, I understand what you're saying. I think the thing is the canonical prescription for that is it should just be water and wheat and flour.
Water and wheat. Yun lang po, wala lang iba. Meron pa ka palang pagkita. Pero may standard din po siya. Ganun din po yung ginagamit namin. And then yung pare, yung priest namin, siya rin po yung mag-distribute. Kaya lang po, ang difference lang namin, we always din na pan-hour. Bale, tapos minum din po kami ng wine.
Yes, I know that.
So, ganun din lang po. And then, ang ginagawa po kasi namin, before mag-humili yung pare, after basahin yung gospel, meron kaming ganit. Yung parang ginagawa natin na nag-share kami.
Yun. Anybody's free to do that.
Anybody po mag-share. Pero yung experience namin, gaya rin po ng ginagawa natin dito na nag-share tayo regarding dun sa experience. Gaya po ng ginawa natin kanina sila, Judy at sila Coco Martin. Yung experience nila, pero kami based on the gospel.
Yes.
Reflection, sharing, personal. Hindi kami nagbibigay ng interpretation namin. Kasi after namin mag-share, yung pare ang final na magbibigay ng conclusion. Kaya para sa amin, mas maliwanag yun kasi na-apply namin sa buhay namin. Hindi lang kami umaasa. Tsaka kami, before kami mag-misa, meron kami mga assignment. O kunyari, itong group na to, ikaw yung magbigay ng intro. Di ba po yung misa natin may intro doon na sinasabi ng lector? bago magbigay ng first reading, kami po yung may mga sign na magbibigay ng 2 sentences or something. 2 sentences, 3. Sandali lang yun, bago i-read yung yung reading. So, ako personally, parang required ako magbasa ng, meron kami misa left ahead of time. So kaya kung may naririnig ako ng mga tao na sinasabi na hindi ko naman naintindihan yung lector kung anong binasa, at least yung parang hindi ko rin naintindihan kung ano yung binasa niya. Kasi sabi ko, pero pa parang kailangan din naman for us bago tayo mag-mass. Nabasa na natin dapat yung gospel. So dapat may misa na tayo, kaya nga tayo merong mga yearly. Kasi dapat advance yung pagbasa.
Na sinasabi natin, period disposition na sinasabi natin kanina.
Yung kagayang sinabi. Kaya parang kung na-experience ko nga rin dito na gano'n, parang sinasabi ng mga kasama ko na, parang nailuway yun na, sabi niya. Sinasabi nila na parang nailuway.
Yeah, no, yung neo-catechumenal is a legitimate group in the church. It is and it can also be expanded as a parish program, so that the entire parish can follow that program, which is different. That is why it is difficult, I think, to have the norm, the BEC, then you have the neo-cat in the same, because these are programs. Okay, these are parish programs. And so it's difficult to have both in the same parish. They will clash. Okay, and then you have the traditional parish. Another problem is, but the thing here, the only thing that I know, that I hear from comments from people who are not part of the neo-catechumenal way is this, that because of, they are always apart, set apart, especially in their celebrations, celebrations nila, their Sunday celebrations, Saturday evening, okay, and their Holy Week celebrations are apart, so they become. And maybe that is what should be avoided, and you should strenuously try to overcome that, is to give the impression of being exclusivist, yung exclusive group, yung parang set apart. Kasi daw ang neo-catechumenal group is forming us, according to even some bishops are saying this. They are parallel parish. That is what they are saying. That is why I think it is up to the neo-catechumenal people to disprove that they are not forming a parallel parish. They only want to live their Christian life more intensely. And I think that is what they want to do. Gusto nila na yung mas intense yung pamumuhay nila bilang Kristiyano. At yun ang pamamaraan nila. But hindi sila nagtatayo ng ibang parokya. I hope that, and you have to prove that.
Parang transparochial.
Yeah. But, yeah, it's transparochial, but I know they're quite established. For instance, in some parishes, like in Mary the Queen Parish, they're quite established there. Yeah. Yes.
Just like to ask po kasi in our office po, we have every mass, every lunchtime. And then every day naman po, every day po, there are invited guests naman, guest please naman po, parang ganun, invited na please po. Tapos consistent naman every Monday, itong please na to, every Thursday po, we have this certain priest na right before the Mass, binibigyan na kami ng parang 5-minute catechism. Mass lang, parang. Actually, we enjoy it naman. Pero, meron akong at times confusion because dahil po every Thursday siyang nasa amin, so na-observe talaga niya yung Mass. And gusto ko lang po i-clarify, in terms of the songs po sa Mass, kapag everyday Mass, ang sinasabi po kasi niya sa amin, kapag everyday Mass, hindi din dapat kinakanta lahat ng kanta. Kasi dapat lang kinakanta nyo, chants lang, amen, tapos, yung recessional po, ganyan. Kaso po,
may iba din naman po mga priest, kaya medyo na-confuse po kami. Kasi meron naman po ibang priest na, ang understanding naman po nila is that the Mass is where the crowd participates with parang yun, nagtitipon-tipon tayo, ganyan. And parang singing the songs is one of the ways to participate. Kaya medyo nagkakaroon po kami ng confusion. Kaya minsan, pag Thursday, ganito tayo. Kapag ibang pare, ganito tayo. Parang, kaya medyo nalilito po kami ngayon. So, kaya po ay medyo
Ganun na lang siguro gawin nyo. Status quo na lang. Kasi, totoo, tama yung sinabi niya. Na hindi lahat, pagka-weekday masses, hindi kinakailangan kantahin lahat. Pero totoo naman yung sinasabi ng mga pare na, dyan lang naman yung mga tao nakaka-participate kapag kumakanta sila kasi yung dyan nararamdaman na that is when they feel that they are really participating in the Mass. So they are actively participating. So both have values. So just stay where you are. Just remember that Thursday is a different day. That is true, that is true. Because in the instruction, it says, there are only songs which are general of the people are obliged to be singing. All the other songs may be for the choir, and they may not necessarily be songs, but instrumental also. So that is yes.
Magtatanong po ako, yung pagtanggap po sa kamay ng hostya, isa po na natin namin ang naiiwan doon. Tapos kaganyan lang po, parang
Yeah. What I'd like to say is this. Communion in the hand was an indult. It was a special permission from the Holy See in the 90s, I think. Because John Paul II was the German and as far as I know, the German and the American bishops were requesting for this exemption for their own. We are not included. The Philippines was not included. The German, I think, and the American bishops, the U.S. bishops, were asking for this privilege to be for the people to be for this exemption from the general rule of communion on the tongue. This was in the 90s, mid-90s, I think. As a matter of fact, when I was still a student in Rome and I would assist in the celebration of Mass, of the papal masses, and I'd give communion, we were explicitly told not to give communion in the hand to American tourists. But, so there would be somebody there watching when we were giving communion so that they would always point to the tongue. Okay? Because the normal way of receiving communion is to the tongue. Okay? Now, in the mid-90s, I don't recall exactly, I think this is some 1996, thereabouts. The American and German, the US and German bishops asked for an exemption, okay, to the general rule. And it was, but before John Paul could give them the indult, they already jumped the gun and started giving communion in the hand. Okay, so there was nothing that the Pope could do but to approve the request. Now the Philippines is not included in that. Okay, we just, I believe that this came to the Philippines at that time also. When we saw that this was being done in the US, because we have many Filipinos in the US, kasi sa amin sa US, ganito na ginagawa. So we started to follow it. But we're not included in the indult. Now the indult, I think, has lapsed already. Tapos na ang indult. But nobody is moving any finger, especially with Pope Francis. He will not, I don't think Pope Francis is going to stop that. So people are still receiving communion in the hand. But many people are beginning to realize that maybe because, this is my own reflection only, my own reflection is this: making the people receive communion in the hand without proper catechesis, okay? Many people now have lost their consciousness of the real presence of the Blessed Sacrament. Many people do not genuflect in front of the tabernacle. They do not. If you ask, like just before you I was parish priest for 3 years in somewhere in Caloocan. And I was shocked when, during the Mass, there were children playing. Street children playing outside. When it was time for communion, everybody lined up, including these children. And it was like this. They think it's... Or during the Simbang Gabi, okay, where the church, especially the 8 o'clock Mass, the evening Mass, the church is full of young people. Okay, they are not there for the Simbang Gabi, but they are there for something else. Okay, they are outside in the periphery. Okay, in the dark. They are in the dark. Now during communion time, it's communion time, so they line up and they receive communion this way. Okay.
Padre, isa pa po. Kasi minsan po in-observe ako, pakikitain po kasi ako. Nung po isang mama, nakita ko na tanggap na ako ng komunyon. Pag ano po ngayon, nakita ko ibubulsan niya. Hinanap ko po siya, bakit? Tapos pinagtanong ko yung marami na pakain sa manok.
Precisely. Now, this is now. I do not know how to solve this problem because I am not with the CBCP, I am not a bishop, so you cannot make legislation concerning this. I think the only thing that we can do here is to really make the people aware of the importance of the Blessed Sacrament, the real presence of the Blessed Sacrament, to really get the people to understand. So that is, to me, that is the danger of the real danger of putting communion in the hand of people, that they can abuse it. Okay, they can abuse it because you cannot take away the fact that many times it is not just the host that is placed in the hand. There are also particles that are left there, and the people don't know what it is. So they just as parish priest, in my parish, then, wala na ako ngayon eh. And even when I say Mass in Laguna, right now when I say Mass in Laguna, I always say, I will not give communion in the tongue, in the hand, I will only give communion in the tongue. Okay? So, in Laguna, what I say is, kung ayaw po ninyong magkomunyon sa dila, huwag na po kayong lumapit sa akin sapagkat ako'y nagbibigay lamang ng komunyon sa dila. Pero in my parish, when I was still parish priest, it was a rule that they have to follow. They cannot receive communion in the hand, always in the tongue. To avoid those abuses. I've seen this also. Mothers. This is in a well-known parish in Cebu. Okay. This mother received communion and there was a child with her. She received communion, placed it in her tongue. She received communion in the hand, in the tongue. Then the child, her son, says, "Mom, what's that? Ma, give me. You know what the mother did? She was a little child. Abuses. I mean, you're aware of these abuses that is being perpetrated against the Blessed Sacrament. And many of your catechists, please do something about it. Help us priests and the sisters also. Please help us.
Yes.
Because this is, of course, they'll say, the Lord knows how to protect Himself. Oh, of course, that is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, people are not being educated and formed in the faith if we just let these things go. Okay? Something has to be done about this. Okay? And it's part of true evangelization. Okay? Yes, that's right.
This is just my opinion, but I think that yung procedure now where you go row by row and then there's somebody telling everybody na to come and line up for communion is contributing to the attitude towards communion. Kasi makikita mo, everybody just stands up na
Nahihiya ka, na ikaw maiiwan ka.
Oo, kasi ginagawa mo roll, tapos titingnan ko pa. Di ba parang, kapal.
Yeah,
diba?
you are not the only person who expressed that. I heard that comment in Mindanao also, because they were trying to implement that in Balay also. Again, Filipinos are copycats. This is being done in the U.S. in many churches, and so those who came from the U.S. would say, "Oh, ganito ginagawa sa U.S. gawin din natin." So yun, ginaya. Copycats. We are copycats. Baka mabusa tayo ng tubig ni Jerry Hill, ha? Copycats.
Father, last year, 2 years ago, in our church, the host in the Adoration Chapel was stolen. Yeah, and so we were.
How about the monstrance?
No, it's the same. That yun nga po, Father, good kung monstrance na lang ninakaw, not the sacred host, because that is the host. So the penalty that we had is we don't have any adoration chapel for the whole month, and then we do the procession every day.
Ako preparation.
Yeah, Father. So maybe that is also in relevance with those people who are receiving communion in the hand, and then they will keep it inside their pocket, and they will maybe into the yung sabo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that happened in our chapel, Father.
Yeah.
And
So that is also the extraordinary ministers of the Eucharist should be very, very attentive when they are giving communion, that they will not just be giving communion nonchalantly, because many times people come to them, not to the priest, but to them, because they know that they are not attentive. So when they get this, they place it in their pocket or put it somewhere else.
that's why we are very watchful, Father. It's not only that we are asking the people to go to the communion. We are doing the asking so that we can watch over the people who are receiving communion, that they are really eating it, and that receiving it, and then they will give it in the pocket.
Yes.
Talagang sinusundan po namin, Father.
Yeah.
Aside from asking the people, talagang sinusundan
May
namin.
mga galit pa dyan. Ano ba kayo? Sumayari ng simbahan?
Yes, Father. Nagagalit. But anyway,
Ay, do it.
we're just protecting the sacred host.
Do it.
So that we can see to it na they are really eating the body of
You know what? I've learned another comment I'd like to make, and maybe this is part of new evangelization to make people understand, to appreciate, for instance, the Mass. A lot of people go to Mass. This is my experience, and twice already I have to control myself. A woman coming to me for communion, this is in Laguna. A woman coming to me for communion, wearing a dress like this, yes, with a strap here and at the back, completely. I told her, I asked her, magkukumunyo ka, ganyan na itsura mo. I mean, just siya lang nakakarinig. Magkukumunyo ka, ganyan na itsura. Sabi, you're not properly dressed up. Next time I will not give you communion if you come to me that way. Kayo mga katikista, would you please do something? Would you do something about this? Properly dressed. Ay, kahit na yung kasal, weddings. I had always, when I was parish priest, people get angry with me. And because I had made it a requirement when they apply for marriage in the parish, that they should not be wearing strapless dresses. Nakabelong, nakakover na yung nakakala, pero kung ba't naman sila sa loob? I mean, this is stupid. The reason why you cover, this is, chastity, purity, etc. And yet they are already, and they receive communion. Sabi, Padre, napaka-konservatibo mo naman, yan ang uso ngayon eh. Hindi naman lahat ng uso pwede. Pwede sa labas, I don't care what happens during the reception. Okay? Even if you remove everything in the reception. In the church, you should be properly dressed. So what I did, my niece got married. I said, okay, you want to use that, but make sure that in the church you are well covered. And she did. She had a bolero. She was covered up to here. Of course, there is such a shame of everything. But at least, you know, I mean, she was properly dressed. And all the bridesmaids and all of this, they're all coming as if they're going to a party. Yeah, it's a party, but during the Mass, they cannot receive communion. You know, like all of that. Speak up to here. Okay.
Father, thank you po. Kasi mayroon po tayong mas ng 4:30. So sabi po ni Father, we should be well disposed para po sa misa. So meron pa pong gagawin. I-ask lang po natin si Father to bless us kasi may sasagutan pa po kayo. Okay lang po kayo. Thank you po, Father. Maraming salamat po sa maganda po ninyong pagpapaliwanag. At makakaasa po kayo dahil marami pong katikista dito at marami naman pong nakarinig at alam ko pong ibabahagi nila kung ano naman po yung natutunan nila ngayong araw nito. Thank you po.